Leeds United have several players that we reportedly want off the books in the coming days and weeks of the transfer window. After all, time is relatively running out. We've got about 3 or 4 weeks to go of the transfer window, and there are some players that should probably be on the way out, either on loan or permanently, before that time comes to an end. And in this video we've got a little bit of news about 2 of those players, one of them being a star that has previously made sure that we didn't get relegated until we then did get relegated the season after that, and then one who helped us towards promotion back to the Premier League. And both are fairly valuable players, but both have some fairly lucrative moves on the horizon, and I think we would be daft to not take advantage of those. So I'm going to talk those through, but before I do, just pop a like on the video, that'd be quite nice, and comment which of the players you personally believe should go the most. Or, no, hold on. Which has a higher ceiling? We'll go with that one. Anyway, so, player number 1 is Joe Gelhardt, who we've had a little bit of news about. Specifically, that he is looking at a move to the Championship, not just with one club in the mix, but 2 clubs in the mix. The first of them being Birmingham City. There's sort of relatively loose news surrounding that. There's nothing sort of firm to grasp onto in terms of that one, but there are a hell of a lot of people angry on the internet, as there always are, because it's the internet. Specifically on the part of Birmingham fans, because they have noted that there is another club with an interest in signing him, and that would be Wrexham. Now, if you're a Birmingham fan and you see Wrexham coming in to potentially sign someone, you're getting a little bit scared, because you're looking at the fact that there is some American Hollywood financial machine coming in looking to sign the player that you particularly want, which is not very good. And it is especially good for Leeds United, because that means it could potentially spark a little bit of a bidding war. The specific numbers that have been mentioned around selling Joe Gelhardt to a Championship side, whether that's Wrexham or Birmingham City, this one coming from the Daily Mail, but it's the guy that's quite good with Leeds United stuff, Simon Jones, I think. I'm going to go with that. If it isn't, someone correct me in the comments. Saying that it's going to be about £4.5 million for Leeds United to move Joe Gelhardt to Wrexham. That's the number that's being bandied around in that one. There's a chance that Birmingham have conversations with us and go, look, could we give you £5 million or something along those lines? It doesn't feel like the sort that is going to spark up a really big bidding war, but it could potentially mean that we have a little more control of the price than we would otherwise, because in this situation we're kind of a distressed seller. Gelhardt has 1 season left on his contract, very clearly doesn't have a future at the club, and we have this window as an opportunity to sell him for something resembling a profit. In terms of book value, his is on the floor at the moment. He's spent a damn long time at Leeds United and was only signed for £1 million, so it's almost all pure profit, which is lovely jubbly. But hopefully this is going to be a situation in which it just sort of works for us, is the nice way that I'm going to put that. We're able to sell him on to someone that is willing to pay a significant amount of cash, and I also hope that it sort of goes well for him, because Gelhardt seems like a good lad. We know via the square ball that Lynn also seems quite nice, I suppose, in the Normanton kind of way. But yeah, I want him to have a good career, because I think he deserves it, and he's only really going to get that away from us, so hopefully he's able to do so. Doesn't necessarily look like Hull is going to be his destination, but we'll find out what's going on with all of that soon enough. Also interesting, Hull have only spent €36 million in this window so far, which is not very good for them. Simultaneously, Sunderland have spent nothing. They've only signed Thomas Meunier on a free, which is insane because he's like a 70-year-old man at this point. But anyway, let's get on to the second player that Leeds United are looking at moving on, and that would be Largie Ramazani. I had a little bit of a discussion about him in a stream yesterday. It was a kind of rush stream. I don't think I got to everything that I wanted to, but we'll have a talk about it anyway. Where Largie Ramazani is potentially on the move, with Valencia being one of the destinations. Apparently, Valencia's sort of squad are sort of excited to have him back. There's been various social media postings and all that kind of stuff. But the important part is that the finances need to be in our favour, to be honest, and we don't particularly want to sell to a club that aren't going to pay the amount of money that we necessarily want. And there's a couple of numbers being floated around in terms of Largie Ramazani, some saying, this being from Radio Marca Valencia, that Leeds won't give in to a sale at the moment, basically for undervalue. We have interest from several teams. It's an important week. Expected that offers for the player will bear fruit and there will be advances. We're not contemplating a loan at all. It's looking purely like it's going to be a permanent move. In addition to that, there's also been a little bit of word that we have rejected a €10 million offer, because that's only about £8.5 million. We're apparently looking for the £10 to £12 million kind of range, which normally you'd think that's not a very big gap to cross. But when it comes to La Liga, especially a side that sort of struggled in La Liga last season, they're going to be watching their pennies as much as they possibly can, so it could be hard to make that leap. It does mean that we're able to introduce a hell of a lot more clubs into the conversation, because if Valencia are leaving the door open and we've got other clubs with interest, we can always go, look, we've got a quite good winger here. Would you like to sign him for £10 million? Because we're waiting for someone to put in an offer of that value. And I think he's definitely worth £10 million. We're effectively looking to avoid a loss on him, which is fair enough, to be honest. He was all right for us in the Championship. I don't realistically think that he's good enough for the Premier League. Again, I wish him well, but he was quite good at being a flat-track bully against Championship defenders. If you put him against a Premier League defender, I think he'd struggle significantly more. He didn't look fantastic in the league or against some of the higher-up sides, which is a little bit of a shame, again. But it's going to be one of those questions of who actually wants to sign him, and is he going to get the football that he wants there? Because he isn't at Leeds, and that makes it make a little bit of sense to me that an exit is on the horizon. Beyond that, in terms of exits, it's relatively thin. Off the top of my head, there's no one that's screaming out except for Joel Piroe. I expect him to find an exit at some point anyway. We're not entirely sure on sort of time frame surrounding that one. It's a little bit tricky. Some people have discussed Nonto as a potential exit, but I think that would come down to the amount that we were being offered. I doubt a loan would be on the cards, because I don't know, a club might want to do the whole try before you buy kind of thing, but I don't know if that necessarily works in our favour. Plus, we could do with a bit more depth before we go for a move like that. Piroe on the way out would also be a little bit tricky. We'd need something to get moving relatively shortly, but it's going to be a busy final few weeks of the window. We've got players that need to go out. We've got some targets that we could do with coming in, and here I am, stuck in the middle with you, talking about it. That wasn't as smooth as I wanted that to be, but that's fine. Yeah, ultimately, I expect Ramazani out relatively soon, Gelhardt relatively soon. Piroe is slightly less likely, but still in the conversation. I think Nonto is the least likely of those to leave. But if they are to leave, it's got to be relatively fast, because the window is closing fairly soon. I trust us to get what we need in, I'll be honest. I'm still in the position where I would be content enough with the squad as it is for next season, but not happy. Like, there's definitely some progress to be made, but if we don't make it, then that's sort of okay. Like, look around us. Newcastle have had a stinking transfer window and weren't much better than us last season. They've changed their manager, they've lost their star players, they've failed to sign Højbjerg, which is sort of hilarious. In addition to that, you look across the league, Sunderland, as I mentioned, haven't spent anything. We're okay, is where I'm sitting at the moment, but we'll probably get some more stuff done anyway. Anyway, I'm going to leave that there. Hope you enjoyed. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Comment some bits and bobs, that'd be quite nice. And yeah, don't hype this video. Don't hype any videos. I'm going to tell you, save your hypes. I'm doing a test soonish. But yeah, anyway, hope you enjoyed, and I will see you later. Ta-ra.